Hello, my sports fans, and welcome to our podcast, Just Fade Us. We're just your average people who love competition and gambling. That's it. It's that simple. So you can tail us at your own risk or avoid the pain of a bad beat and just fade us altogether. Either way, we hope you enjoy this week's episode. Byron, how we feeling tonight?
I'm exhausted already, but I'm getting prepped for this glorious weekend. We got a lot on. Baseball, UFC, NFL, college, soccer. I'm looking to hit a big one.
Big slate.
This is
Yeah,
this is the
a little
weekend.
bit from each one.
Yeah. So I'm going hard this week, whether it's work, prepping. I didn't lock too many tickets in. I locked some like individual ones last night on some over unders in WNBA, and I texted you. It's just it was weird, but it wasn't anything significant. So I was just testing the waters. But I'll be ready to go, locked and loaded this weekend to hit something filthy. Something filthy. I'm due Cincinnati O's from last week, so I'll talk about them a little bit later.
Yeah. I heard you had some heartbreak mental trip ups last night.
Yeah, it's crazy. We talk about this all the time. It's like once I don't even know if it's second guessing yourself, but it's almost like it just feels like whatever you pick loses. Like you stay with the same strategy. I have this little strategy for basketball. I call it I don't know, the 2 minute drill, if you will. I'll explain it to you more off air, but it's just something that works. I mean, if I actually had to calculate it, I would say somewhere between 60-70% of the time. And last night was one of those things to where I had some over unders, and I typically bet on quarters, right?
Yeah.
So I had an over under in the Aces game last night, and I had an over and under in the second quarter, and I had the under in the second quarter over for points total in the second quarter, and it literally was at the number that I needed under at. So I was still good because I had the hook with the 0.5 buzzer beater shot, right? And then I'm like, oh my goodness. So then I come back with a different game on like the first quarter, and then I have the over in that. And then there was the number again. It was, I don't know, say I took over 30 and it was at 29. So I was like, "Oh, there's a minute left on the clock. This is great. Somebody's going to get a foul, like a foul or a layup or a three. Somebody in a minute. Nothing. And the quarter ended. So I had two half-point losses. One on a buzzer beater that I didn't need to happen, and then I lost on another half-point game where I needed a buzzer beater or a layup or a shot or a foul or something, and nothing.
Falling into your bad beats category.
Yeah, just one of those trippy things where it's like, how is it a half point and then you lose, like, no matter what, you lose on the buzzer and then you can't get the shot. Like it's all within 5 minutes of each other. So I went to bed.
Yeah. So to bed. To the night.
Seriously, I was like, I'm going to bed. I just went to bed. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. Any wins that you've kind of felt pretty good about? Like for instance, the Manny home run that we got the other night. I know you didn't put it on it,
Oh,
but I did.
yeah.
And it was just one of those like reminders to myself to trust myself because and originally I had saw Kirby was pitching for Seattle and I like Kirby. There's nothing against him, but he's had a little bit of a rough year this year and he had given up like 28 home runs. And I was like somebody on Padres because I was like hunting for I was like somebody on the Padres is going to hit him. And then even though Manny, I think he had good numbers against him but no home runs. And then Merrill had really good numbers against him. So then I was like, let me just, and this is where I had to stop myself. I was like, let me just see. I was like, I'm going with Manny, and they were both around plus 450. I think Manny was 450, Merrill was plus 500
For a home run?
for a home run. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
So,
Manny
and I
plus
had a
50.
plus, and I had a plus 100 that I could add to it. So
Oh,
I got him for
wow.
plus 550. And so I was like, let me see what other people are saying. And I read multiple things saying take Merrill because he's on a hot streak. He's been to get him at those odds are like really nice. You should go. So then I was like, should I just take him? And then that's why I was like, let me text Byron and see what he says. And I was like, would you take Merrill or Manny? And you're like, you got to take Chato. And I was like, all right, so we're the stars are aligned. This is the
Yep.
right side. I woke up, you had texted me, Manny hit the home run, and Merrill went 0 for 4.
See, good thing we missed that. You know what? It's a. I said this our last show. I was like, it's a moral victory because I wish you told me it was at the plus odds like that. I would have definitely jumped on when you texted it because I was like, oh no, I'm just doing my own thing, chilling. But yeah, I'm I'm glad I had input on that and it was aligned with yours, and I definitely would have jumped in on that. And yeah, because and that's what's funny. I didn't place a bet that I like gave out. I always say I'm good at making other
Other
people
people,
money or advising other people how to get rich, but me, no. So I should have bet on it. I would have been fine, but I'm still riding quite a pretty decent gains from the Thursday night or was it Monday night football game?
Monday,
Yeah, the
yeah,
Monday
with
night game, the Jets
the
game.
Jets game, yeah.
Yeah,
You pretty much
uh,
called that spot on.
yeah, yeah. Basically, every I had 5 out of 6 hit before halftime,
Yeah.
and then I was just like, "Oh, I'm good." And then I woke up late, and that's when I texted you that Garrett Wilson. There was like a minute left or 2 minutes left, and Jets are getting blown out. They had second teamers in, and I was like, Wilson just needs a catch. And I was like, I didn't think he was in the game. And then I just heard the announcer say, like, oh, Wilson with the catch. So he just got the catch to make me win a few hundo on the night. So
Nice. So you just want
I'm
to keep
still
that in the bank.
keep flipping it.
So what's your then approach for this week?
This week, well, tonight the wrong team is favored. I don't get how Vegas is trying to trick people because the Dolphins won and it's Tyreek Hill and what's going on with Tyreek Hill in the I mean it's not big news, but with his arrest and I mean Tua's we just talked about before this, Tua's passing yards are at like 265 or 270
I think it's
something.
close to
And,
280. It's like over
and
270.
it's like I don't uh, I don't see that happening. If it does, that's because Buffalo's blowing them out. That's the only thing I can
Well,
really
I
see.
did hear so the running back from Miami's out. So I actually thought the line would drop again. The line moved because Allen's wrist, he hurt his wrist.
He's injured.
He's injured. His throwing wrist is injured.
He's fine. He's fine.
But so that moved the line. I, at least that's what they were saying on the favorites is they thought that that's what moved the line a little bit. But I'm with you. I just put Buffalo in the
Yeah,
teaser and
no.
then took just some kind of parlays on
Be-
there. So
because I think Buffalo can run on Miami, and I think I mean I'm looking at an under because of that. So if that is the case, and Allen's not going to go all out throwing it like because his thumb is injured, and he can still play, but maybe he's not fully 100%. I
they probably
think
doped him up. You know how they do. They lie about their steroids
yeah,
that they be pumping in
little
them.
thumb injury. Yeah, it's like you got to get out there on the field and get your play percentages for your contract.
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna miss unless he really has to. But I think he's fine. Still, even if Allen was injured and out, I guess I could see Miami being a favorite. But he's not out,
Yeah.
so there's no way he should be sorry, not he, but Buffalo should be dogs and almost a field goal
Yeah.
dogs. Insane. So wrong team is favored tonight. I like Buffalo to just win outright, and I hope James Cook gets a rushing touchdown because I think I think they'll rush pretty easily on Miami. Miami's rush defense is not it at all. So there'll be some big plays. I have Tyreek in fantasy. I hope he gets it. But in terms of outlook this week for the NFL, I'm just keeping it what it was last week. The better teams win. Most of specifically now this week, I know week one it says dogs cover. This week I'm taking favorites
Well,
to
favorites did end up covering last week, actually. Like there was,
higher percentage
yeah,
than the
then
dogs
a
cover
higher
the spread.
percentage. So it went against the trend last week. So
Okay. See, and that's what we talked about. Is like I always and I refuse to look it up and get taken off of what I thought, but I always remember hearing or reading somewhere over the years that week one is always predominantly favors the favorites or the better team wins. And then it's not until about week four that the dogs, it's like a heavy dog week. For some reason, week four is insane. So that's all I've been like keeping in the back of my mind.
mm,
But This week, I'm keeping it just similar like it was last week. Going with the favorites. I like, even though technically I'm going against that tonight, but I just think Buffalo's the better team. So I'm going whoever the better team is. The only thing I'm going against is the Cowboys game is that they're 6-point favorites at home. Cowboys never played too well at home, even though they do earlier in the season. But six, I feel like that line, especially what they just did to the Browns,
Mm.
against I feel like that line should be at least a touchdown, if not more, but it's at 6. So I'm like, Vegas knows something that I don't, and I'm definitely going to tease and or wait to get Saints at a touchdown spread and take the Saints.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just the
It's
Saints had their big win last week, so even though it was against the Carolina Panthers, so that boosted up their
right.
best. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, it could be. So keeping it simple. And last I want to say is I want to ask you about, I don't know if you could tell me to save this for later or not, but your Florida State Seminoles are 6.5-point favorites this weekend against, it just slipped my mind.
Florida's a fucking shit ass team.
Florida State.
This
Oh,
way a little
your other
so
team that
I
we
can be
talked about.
reminded.
They play. They're at home 6.5 favorites against 2-0 Memphis.
I got Memphis going to the playoffs, so
So
I'm taking Memphis here. At
that so that's part of my approach. The teams that suck, I'm not. I'm not doing what I do in years past and being like, oh no, the people are saying that they're gonna this is their week to get it, and they're still a good
it
team. They're
might
just
be their
working
week to
out
get
the
it,
kinks.
and go ahead and
No,
take my money then if that's the case.
yeah,
But I'm
no,
not putting
no.
money on you and then you taking my money. So
We do it. We do it all the time. To where I did it with the Bears last year. I heard everyone telling me about the Bears, the Bears, the Bears, and I lost money for like 12 weeks straight. And then I finally go against them, and like that's the game or two that they want to win, and it just you just keep losing money and money and money because you're listening to nonsense on the internet. And I'm just listening to what I saw. Those two teams behind you, Florida State and Clemson. I'm good. I'm good.
yeah, I mean
Completely good.
maybe Florida State's wins, but I'm taking Memphis with the points. But yeah, I'm kind of looking at so I did all right. I think you've been trying to take like a big approach. I'm kind of trying to do a big approach, but also I got a family, can't be blowing all my money. So it's a long season, taking it slow. So if you actually looked at it as units, right? So for those of you who don't know, with unit plays, you typically have 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, so forth. And it was interesting because I'm listening to all these people, on even money and the favorites and stuff like that. And they're talking about how many units they're down. So for whatever, if you want to think it in terms of small money or big money, whatever, they talk about it in terms of units. They don't say how much they're actually betting on it, but they're all down like 7+ units, right? I'm actually up 16 units. So from the weekend. Now I'm a little bit more from this past week, but I know that's only $160 because I only bet $10 units. But if you look at it in a strategy of actual units, I'm ahead. So I'll take that as a win. I think my strategy is to continue to again make our larger home run dollar and a dream bets, but also having continue with my unit play. But I think I'm going to be a little bit more strategic this week. So I think there are games that I'm going to pass, and I'm sure we'll kind of talk about some that come up. But there might be a game, like for instance, everything in me wants to take Washington over the Giants because I'm so mad at the Giants, but I'm like,
I tease the Giants.
yeah, and that's the thing. And I'm also like, but is it? That's just a game I'm going to pass on. It's not worth me stressing over or putting money down on. And so, yeah, maybe I put the Giants in a teaser as one of those like bigger swing for it kind of bets. But as far as a unit bet, I'm just going to pass on that. It doesn't sound something that is worth my time and
Yeah,
my money.
it's like a pick 'em. If
Yeah.
anything, maybe the under.
Yeah,
But
maybe something similar to that. So, and also I told Michaela just to continue on this Giants Vikings thing. If the Vikings make the playoffs, I will buy a Viking shirt and wear it on one of the shows. So
Well, I mean, we know that's not
Yeah.
happening.
Well, that's my.
Like,
Let's not get ahead of.
but,
Let's not get ahead
actually,
of ourselves.
that's the one game that's tripping. It's tripping me up is
The
the
Vikings game.
5 point dogs at home against San Fran after what San Fran just did without McCaffrey.
I guess they're getting. Yeah, and all they did was beat the Giants. Like,
So Vegas is, I think Vegas is trying to be.
yeah, they're
I don't.
being. And it's interesting because last week a lot of the games were about 3 points, right? Somewhere around there. A lot of this
Hmm.
week's games are around those 5.5 to 6.5
Yep.
spreads. Make
Yep.
it a
And
little
that, yeah,
trickier.
that's what's, and so this is what I didn't think this through thoroughly. So we'll obviously talk closer to Sunday, and after I see a little bit more movement. But this is the stuff I'm trying to talk about to where San Fran on the road after what they did. Maybe there's some news where I just haven't heard that is big, but I don't think so. It would have to be with Purdy that it's only five. But I didn't hear
There's
anything, and I
nothing.
know there's a
It's just
news
that
with right.
McCaffrey
So
might
there's
still be
nothing.
out.
So here's the stuff that like I try to look at, and it makes me I just have to dig a little deeper to figure out what it means. So the the 49ers are 5 point favorites against the Minnesota Vikings, who we know the Minnesota Vikings are probably the top three worst teams in the league. And then at the same time, you have Cincinnati against the Chiefs at, and that's also a 5 point spread.
Hmm.
I'm looking at it this way. It's like what Vegas is saying is that comparing those two games and the teams together, that the the same basically the strength of the Chiefs and the strength of the Niners is only 5 points better than their opponent, but the opponents are
Are
not
not
comparable.
comparable. Yeah. Because even if you say, because even a lot of people like back on tape are saying that Cincinnati really kind of like lost that game on themselves, like shot themselves in the
Yeah,
foot,
they
their own
played
errors
terrible. Like Cincinnati's going to be in the playoffs.
there. So yeah, it,
I
it
don't
just
know
feels
what it
like
means though.
Niners will blow out the Vikings and Cincinnati will stay within striking distance on the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Are you taking Cincinnati? Yeah.
absolutely. On well, not every single ticket. We learned from
Not
yesterday.
on every single ticket. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I almost got too confident there.
Also,
I
they
definitely
play the Bengals play well in Arrowhead, and Patrick he doesn't blow out big teams. That's like a known stat. When he's a big favorite, he doesn't blow out those games. They typically
right,
you
right.
probably get the Chiefs win, but you're probably now within a field goal. So I'm with you on that. I'm taking Cincinnati as well as a
Yeah,
whether I'm
don't
teasing or taking the spread outright 5.5. Take that. That's worth it on a unit
right.
bet. I think I'm gonna have to take San Francisco though. I like you said, without no major, like that does feel like a trick. That feels like they're trying to tell you to play the spot of the Vikings
Out of
at
five?
five.
Five?
And,
What is that?
and
Five.
then if you've been taking about the same thing with what you just saw happen back to your earlier one with Dallas and the Saints, right? So they're 6.5, so not 5.5, but similar. Okay, we can throw Dallas, even though in the playoffs they don't do well, but in the regular season they're typically like 11 and something. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they're usually a divisional
Right,
winner up against the Saints, who would probably fall in between Cincinnati and Minnesota.
right.
And they're
And
catching they're like it's weird.
yeah, and to your point, and this is the last it's the last thing I'll say because it's making me laugh thinking about it. We know that the Saints against Minnesota, they would be favored. It
Yes,
wouldn't
yeah,
be a
yeah,
big
that's
margin.
the
But let's just say it'd be anywhere between 2 to 4. The Saints would be favored over the Vikings, like especially at this point in the season. So because of that, like if the Cowboys played Cincinnati, then the Cowboys should be higher favorites than right now that playing the Saints against Cincinnati. Does
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah,
Sorry, yeah, I guess because that does that make sense? Like because the lines aren't. It's just it does not
making
make it's not
sense.
making sense. It's not making sense. I know it's confusing without like seeing it in in front of you. But this is the stuff Vegas does, and it drives me crazy. And yeah, I end up ultimately second guessing myself.
Well,
But
because I think would it if the Saints were playing the Vikings, the Saints would be favored,
mhm,
right?
for
And
sure,
if the 49ers were playing Dallas, the 49ers would be favorite.
exactly,
Yet we're seeing a bigger gap between Dallas and the Saints versus the Vikings and San Fran. And you could add in the
exactly,
Chiefs and the Bengals for whatever ratio you want with any of those two mixes and
right,
still get the same outcome.
exactly.
So that's
So
in
that's
its way
weird
doesn't make
stuff.
sense.
Makes zero sense. No sense at all. 5 points. So again, and so it's one of the things. It's either are they telling us Vikings, but I don't think they're that. I don't think they're that.
We wouldn't be surprised if one of those was the trick. Like
So
right,
that's what I'm
one
thinking.
of
That
those
one of those.
teams. I'm gonna say Cincinnati. I would be surprised if Cincinnati doesn't cover that spread.
Yeah.
So I
Well, I think they're gonna get a lot of people because of what Cincinnati did last
yeah,
week.
and that's what they're
And
hoping. I think is
right,
and you've already
yeah,
seen that line go down because I think that line started at 6.5 and then moved to 5.5.
yeah. It's so I think you'll get a lot of people. I know years ago that would have got me. I just would have been like, oh, the Chiefs beat Buffalo, and Buffalo's not favored against Miami this week. Like Buffalo must not be that good, and they beat them by a touchdown. So why can't they beat Cincinnati, who lost to the Patriots?
You're so speaking
So,
of
but
The Patriots plus 3.5 against Seahawks. I'm kind of
I'm taking I'm taking
I
Seahawks.
want to take Seahawks too, but then I'm like, that's one of
I'm
those
taking
spots that you're
Seahawks.
supposed to take.
I'm taking the Seahawks. No questions asked. Like you said about the Memphis game in for college, take my
You're
money.
just taking, yeah, you're like, this is the eye test.
Rod Mayo can if he wants whatever I put on it, he can have it. I'm taking Seattle at the 3.5,
Same thing
and
with who's the other one that is trying to get you to do that too? Oh, the Chargers and the Panthers, right? So the Panthers, and that's another one. So the Chargers are 6 points favorites against the Panthers. That
yep.
seems
But
you add that into one of those four then too, because if you look at the comparatively of like those teams are closer to each other than
yeah, they are. They are. I do like the Chargers though to beat
oh I do too.
Carolina.
That's what I'm saying. But I think the spot is what I'm trying to get at. The spot
Yeah,
per the professionals are saying they would go with Carolina because it makes sense in the spot. But you and I, based on an eye test, just not doing it.
no. No, this is a. I think Vegas is. I think they're going to throw a couple nonsense stuff out there for you to take. I do, however, like Denver over
I do
Pittsburgh.
too.
Yeah,
I like that
I
one as
like that
well.
one a lot, and that one is a trick one because I mean, what Pittsburgh they ended up losing. Oh no, they ended up winning. They're the team that won by 8 and didn't score a touchdown. They won 18-10, didn't score a touchdown, all field goals. And well, I guess yeah, you can get all field goals. 6 field goals. Their kicker went off. But yep, that's what I'm looking at
Okay,
this week. I'm gonna hit a
that's a
massive
fun.
one though. I know you're doing the Uden betting, and I want to, but I'm like, dang, do I really want to?
You got your own strategy. That's you do
Yeah,
yours. You do you. I do me.
no. I'm
We
gonna hit
see where we
a
land
nasty
at the end of the season.
20 legger. I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit it. I was thinking on the train earlier. I was like, what can I call him? I think I'm gonna call him Daddy Long Leggers.
Daddy long leggers. That's hilarious. Yo,
It's so corny. I'm getting so old, but I was like, I like that.
I
I
like
like
it.
They hit me with Daddy Long Legger. That's crazy. In New York, they pause me, but you know what I'm saying.
So I guess that brings us to then your Miller's time and these daddy long leggers that you got going on.
Yeah, so actually, like I told you, I'm excited because we have a nice slate or a nice card, I should say, on the UFC. So that adds a little bit more numbers to the pot. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to take about because college is a longer slate or more games on starting today, tomorrow, Saturday is the biggest one. I'm going to get I'm looking to get about 6 college, about 5 NFL, so that'll put me at 11, and then essentially anywhere between 6 to 9 more picks I'm going to go with. So I'm looking to do on bigger cards like UFC where they have an early prelim, the prelims, and then the main card. You can get about anywhere, if I'm guesstimating, 18 to 20 some fights. So I am looking to throw at least three there. So that'll bring me around 14, 15. And then I'm going to throw in only do like two soccer or so. So I'm gonna play around with those numbers and try to get, like you said, anywhere between a 16 to 20 team parlay. And I mean, literally, you throw $1 on one of those things or more. I think FanDuel told me no last week. The one that I did pretty good on, the one
You told me no,
where you
you
said
couldn't bet $1.
they told me no, I couldn't bet $1 because it was going to make
Oh,
$1 million.
they were not happy about that. They didn't even
Yeah,
want to risk it.
they were like,
They
nope.
said this
So
isn't
they were
worth
like,
the
you
risk
can
or
do
the reward.
22 cents, whatever the math is. You can do 22 cents or something like that to make like 240 some K. And I was like, I mean, sure, I'll take that too. But um, But I haven't even went back and look at that one ticket where I was one game from making it to Sunday,
Mhm.
and then to see what the Sunday games were. Is if I'm not mistaken, if just guesstimating without going back to that ticket from what I remember, it was a 20 legger. I think I hit maybe 16 out of the
That's it,
20.
yeah. Well, that's why Vegas
So
said no to your dollar because it wasn't
right, they were
worth
like
the risk.
absolutely not. I know people like that hear this, they'll be like, "That's a terrible way to gamble." Blah blah blah. Like you should have done a round robin, or why do you do parlays? You should have done unit betting and just bet them all individually. You would have made profit. But like you said, I'm literally betting $1. Like
Yeah, it's not
no one's.
doesn't hurt nobody, and if you win, then people win
Yeah,
stupider bets on the dumbest things that I've ever seen. So
right. And no one says anything about Miss Juanita at the gas station who's buying tickets, lotto tickets to try to make it. They're like good luck. So that's essentially what I'm doing here. I'm using knowledge to pick a winning lotto ticket.
mhm.
So that's what I'm excited for. And so we got week 1 out of the way. College football got its 2 weird weeks done, and I I I'm looking forward to it. And it takes some work. It's sometimes, I mean, to build 10 tickets takes some time because you don't want to duplicate, like we talked about before, to where you realize you have, oh my God, I put like Akron on every
It's
ticket.
just so hard when you feel really good about a team to like
Yeah.
now for I did put Dallas and everything, and I'm glad that I did, and in that case, it worked out for me last week, right? Like, and you
Hmm.
do feel really good about certain teams, but then they come back to haunt you when you do, and then you realize that you just busted all your chances because of them. So it is risky to do that.
Yeah, it is. And for what I realize for these long ones that I try to build, I have to put most of my effort in trying to build like a 6 or 8 team parlay that goes into every single one. Because the combinations are endless with 20 teams. It's like over a million combinations it could be. So mathematically, it's impossible, and financially, it doesn't make sense to try to do hundreds or thousands of combos.
No,
And
it's true. And
around
in that case, it doesn't make sense for unit betting either, really, because you're just
no, no, it doesn't make sense. So it's silly. So it's really I try to build using the cross sports, like I told you. I really try to build who are the two NFL teams like I am certain of, who are the 2 or 3 or 4 college teams I feel really strong, and they stay in every single ticket. So I'm more so looking at it as like a 6 pick parlay from there, and then from there it's like I may have just because you have the Bearcats on, I'm like, I might take Cincinnati in another ticket, but in the other ticket, it
saw how
might
they
be who
threw
they're
that
playing.
game against Pittsburgh.
Right. Or I might not have them. So from there, I try to hit a 6 or 8 teamer for sure. And then from there, it's like, not just guessing, but
So
you kind of
do
just,
you have anybody specifically in mind that you're looking at between college? I know we just talked about some football, so you like Denver and Cincy. I'm assuming you're putting those in there.
yeah.
Were there any specific college teams or any UFC sort
Yeah.
of?
So for college specifically, so for UFC, I won't say right now, but I'll tell you what I do. I wait on, so tomorrow, you're going to call me crazy, but tomorrow they do the weigh-ins.
Okay.
Well, they I think they've done the weigh, but they do like the
They're
premiered weigh.
yeah, and they're
So they so I watched the weigh-ins and I literally I'll look up and honestly I'll just skim through it. I don't need to hear what the broadcasters say. I don't need to hear none of that. I watch the weigh-ins and I look to see how they approach the scale. I look to see when they do the face to face, like who is showing those I'm scared, but I'm not scared, so I'm gonna do some things in your face, and like I want to see who's the content like fighter, and I'll use that as like another piece of information to place like a bet. So there's a few guys I'm eyeing, but I literally I will not know until
so
weigh-ins on Friday.
I remember one time
So
you told me sometimes you just pick the ugliest person. 'Cause
don't get me in trouble. Don't get me in trouble. No. No, that's not the case. That's not the case. No, she's lying to you. She's just mad because I play you in fantasy this weekend and you know that your team had a good
no,
week,
my
but they're
team
not
had not just a good week. My team would
they
have
had
beat
a
every single
good
team in the league
they
by
had
like
a
50
good
plus points.
week.
And that was with a no points for my tight end and no points for my defense. And I still
Nah,
outbeat everybody by 50 points.
they had a good week. I had a good week and none of my guys performed. So I was like, "Oh, like you're in trouble because none of my running backs did anything. I had one wide receiver that did something. I have no tight end and I'm still projected to hang right there with you." So,
You're actually
um
projected to beat me. I just don't think that's going to happen.
ooh, I'm projected to beat you. What? I'm not going 0-2. My team is solid. But we'll be talking more
We'll have to make our own
as
side bet too. I already got a
very
coffee from somebody else. So
I'll, I'll share a couple with you real quick that especially at the 12 o'clock slate, I really like UNLV to cover against Kansas. Kansas is 9.5 point favorites, and I just hope it keeps climbing. Honestly, I do like the UNLV to cover, but I also at the last minute I switched that to an over. It's over. It's at 57 right now. I definitely like that to be a scoring game for sure. And other one,
I like the
we talked about Memphis, taking Memphis. The one that I really love the most, like I'm not even questioning anything, NC State to blow out Louisiana Tech. They're a 3 touchdown favorite right now. Taking that. And honestly, last but not least, at 12, the 12 o'clock game, Central Michigan to cover against Illinois. Illinois has been killing it. They're a 19-point favorite right now. But Illinois has Nebraska after, which
yeah.
is it's a Big Ten game, isn't
Yeah,
that?
they want to
Nebraska still
focus. They're just kind of coming into
yeah.
this.
So almost a 3 score in Illinois. They have, you know, I mean, they blew out Eastern Illinois and then they beat Kansas by 6, which that was like, okay, that's nice, but Kansas isn't like powerhouse. But yeah, Central Michigan on the road in Illinois, and then Illinois has Nebraska on deck. Again, a conference game. I like Illinois. So those are just some, but like I said, it's a large slate. I'm still going through. Like you say in our intro, we're just your average people that work 9 to 5s, and we just like to bet. So if I told you I went through every game, I probably wouldn't have a job right now. So, but those are the ones I like for sure without question that might go in every single ticket is Central Michigan and
Those
NC
ones.
State on top of some of the NFL we talked about. And yeah, Friday, watch the weigh-ins and just watch how they come out. And for UFC, this thing too. One day I'll talk about Arrow specifically, but when UFC, even on their walkouts, any fighter that walks out, for the most part, not 100% of the time, but any fighter that walks out singing and dancing, bet against them. They're trying to psych themselves up because they're not mentally ready for it.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's the realest thing in the world. So I watch all that too. I'll change a bet
just
live. I
because of
like
that.
hedge myself and go heavier because I'll see someone come out dancing and singing to their song, and I'm like, oh no, they're not ready. They're not ready. So
All right.
let's make some money.
All right. So I guess let's get moving on to the TDs, TD of the week. I'm 1-0. I'm 1-0. I actually came 5 of 6 of my parlay, but my actual call of Aaron Jones
Mhm.
at the plus 140, I think I got him at 1-0. And I
Mm.
actually have a couple. So I know I just took a kind of shot with Waddle tonight. I think Cooper has another good game, especially with Nakua out. So there's that. He's plus 104 well. But I kind of was looking at Ford for Cleveland. Uh,
I thought about him too.
he's at
Yep.
plus 130. And who's Cleveland playing again? They're playing. Is it? It's not the Packers.
Let's
The
see.
Packers are playing the Colts, so it's not them. They're playing the
Cleveland.
Jags
Yeah, in
in
Jacksonville. Yep.
Jacksonville. And Deshaun just looked awful against Dallas. I don't know if that really changes. I might take his under again. And I think
Love
they're going to need to rely on whether it's like screen passes or Russian. So,
I might even throw that in the daddy long
yes.
legged.
So I'm going to take Ford. I also thought about St. Brown at plus 100 with Detroit because he had no play against that Rams game. He was like non existent in that game.
You're right. You're
Non
right.
existent. And I do not see them going 2 weeks in a row being non existent in a game. You're like, top player is he's not going to be
Yep.
happy with that. So
Agreed.
I also thought about that. I think I'm going to call the Ford touchdown as my official touchdown at the plus 130, but I do really like St. Brown at plus 100 to also.
Now I must ask: are you avoiding taking the Packers running back because I have him in fantasy?
I don't even know who he is.
Oh my god! They
How
got
much I care about your players.
he came from Vegas. He's their starting running back, and they have no Jordan Love right now, and um they're home against the Colts.
Who is he?
You don't think
I don't know who he is.
the guy? Yeah, I drafted him like second. His name is Josh Jacobs. We're bugging.
Oh,
You
Josh
know Josh
Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you're putting
I
your
didn't think
hat is on.
about him. I didn't even know he was on your team.
I have him in both leagues.
That's how unworried I am about your team. I didn't even look
I,
at who you have. Josh Jacobs played
uh,
for. This is his
that
first year in
one,
the league. Did he play for Oakland?
he
He
was
was
Oakland
Oakland's
last year.
running back. Okay,
Vegas.
yeah, he's decent.
Yep.
He probably. What is his odds? I didn't even look at it because I wasn't really focusing on that game.
He's at like plus 115, 110.
He probably has a shot too against the Colts.
Yeah, I might put him for two just to
Just
kind of
just
say,
because don't put all your eggs in one basket here. You.
I'm going to pull this up really fast. I'm sorry, were you finished with your
Yep,
TDs?
that's
You
it.
think those two
No,
are for
that's
sure?
it. I'm going in for Ford. Throw St. Brown in there somewhere.
Are you going to parlay them or individual?
I don't know yet. I'll look.
Okay.
Just for my segment piece alone, I'm just calling for it. But you know.
Yo, I need a tight end bad.
Yeah, I don't have one either. I put Likely in because he had a beast week against. He did better than Andrew, so he's better than my current tight end with
Yeah,
Steelers. So I just put him in because I was like, well, I guess his upside is better. So
dang it. Oh, see, you have Jerome Ford. That's why you want
I
to.
didn't even. I actually forgot that I had him, though he did do really well with me last week. I think he got me like 18, 19 points or something like that. And he didn't even have a good game. He got 19 points without a good game.
You are hilarious. Of course, you mentioned Cooper
I
Cup. You
also have
have him. You
Aaron Jones,
mentioned
if you
Bugsy.
didn't
You
notice.
have.
I had
Wait,
look at
you
my
just
team. Look at how good my team is.
wait. You got to change TDs to like I'm just playing. I'm playing Byron, so let me pick all my players to score a touchdown, so I
But
win
they're all going
fantasy.
to score a touchdown. It's just the matchups, Byron. I didn't even pay attention to my fantasy team. I just played. I looked at the matchups. I looked at what the
Oh
odds were for
my
touchdowns, and I made my
god,
choice. But it's
that
happy
is
to know
too
that Ford,
funny.
Cup, Barkley, all of them are on my team. So,
It's a coincidence, people. It's a
it is such a
coincidence.
coincidence.
Oh my god, that's you are funny. You are funny. I'll make a trade for you for the Steelers tight end.
Maybe I don't do
We'll
trades,
talk.
but maybe we'll talk
Yeah,
about it.
let's. Oh,
All right, so we're well. I guess if we look at bets and fades here, I would probably say so. Where we kind of meet up is for sure bets that we're both looking at is Denver, Cincy,
Yep.
and Niners. We feel pretty confident about.
Yes.
So that is who we are recommending betting. Remember, we're not professionals whatsoever. Your bet is your bet. You claim it, not us. Um, and then I don't really think we got a hedge, but it does look like on our fade, you and I both like Memphis and we both like the Chargers. But we get that those could be scary, so that might be where you potentially want to fade us. So, or just fade us in all of them because something's not going to go right.
Do the opposite of what we said. Even though since we started this, we've been on point, which is
We
hilarious.
have been though.
It's been 2 years since we've been getting dog walked. And then we're like, let's just film ourselves talking the mess that we talk. And I feel like a professional
I
better
feel like
the
a
last
professional
2 weeks.
better too. I do. I actually feel like I'm reading spots better, but I'm also using my
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah. Arizona State's up 7 to
Dang,
0.
I could have messed that up. I really hope Northwestern can find a way to cover this.
I took. Did you take a same game parlay for tonight?
With the Miami game,
Yeah.
just some player stats. So like I did take Tua for over 250. I think I took Cook's receptions at 2.5.
Me too.
Um,
Did you take Tua's yards at 4.5?
his rush
Is he
yards,
going to
I did.
scramble
I
one?
didn't take his rush yards. I think I took Allen's rush yards.
Oh, that scares
Not
me.
at 50. Not
I
at 50. I
had
think I took him for something. I forget what I took him for.
Tua over 4.5 rushing yards. Is he not going to get pressured one
The
time
thing
for
with
him to?
Tua is I don't think he's been ever since his concussions. I think he avoids contact.
I get it, but one of those things where it's like it's no one's out there, or one of those where to like the pocket kind of like horseshoes around you, and you just it's like open and you just run for a few yards and slide. He doesn't have to like run through the middle, but it's just
He
like
might. I'm not. I did. I just it scared me because it was so low, and I was like, I don't. I'm not sure.
yeah, that I think I walked into a trap. Now that I think about it.
All right. Well, anyways, everybody, thank you for watching. If you're still here, I guess we should start saying like, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll see you next time.
Fade us.
I was waiting for the fade us.